Hello and welcome to the recorded webinar for Everglade software. There are two parts to the webinar today. First, we'll have a brief PowerPoint which introduces the Everglade software, and then we'll actually run the software live, starting at the beginning and creating an Everglade Wetland Delineation project, loading that project to the global positioning system, going through a simulated data collection, bringing the data back to the desktop, reviewing it and making edits, and then exporting our completed wetland determination forms. So with that in mind, let's begin the recorded webinar. The Everglade Concept, we wanted to provide a method for the collection of tabular and spatial data required to complete a wetland delineation project. We wanted to simplify the wetland data collection process and move away from the traditional method of using paper data sheets, recreational grade GPS, and going out to the field with your National Guide to Wetland Plants, essentially your National Wetland Plant List, and to ensure a small and simple learning curve and build a start-to-finish solution. So we're basically going to replace your manuals, your data sheets, your GPS with just your GPS running the Everglade Wetland Delineation Software. Currently, Everglade is available for all contiguous U.S. Army Corps of Engineers regions as well as the Alaska region. And when you purchase an Everglade solution, you get all of the regions shown in front of you. The Everglade consists of two different components: Everglade Desktop, which is used to create, manage, and export your created wetland projects, and Everglade Mobile, which is the mobile component that runs on your rugged handheld or your mobile GPS, used to collect the tabular and spatial data for the purpose of wetland delineation. Everglade Desktop, as we mentioned, is used to build, edit, and export new projects. So when you start Everglade on your computer, you just simply click on the new icon or file and then new, and simply complete the fields on the new project information. These are very simple and consist of the project name, the project path, that is where you're going to be placing your Everglade projects, selecting the region in which you're going to work, give a project site or name, choose the state and the county that you're working in, and give it the project information, which consists of the applicant or owner, investigators, the section, township, and range, subregion, soil map unit name, NWI classification, and then the project date and time is automatically taken off of the clock of your computer. Now, if you don't know the information for any of these fields, you can complete many of these either on the handheld or even after the fact when you brought the data back to Everglade Desktop for review and edit of the information you've collected in the field. The only important things that are critical to fill on this is the region in which you're working and basically the project path, so you know where you place the project on your computer. For the field data collection, you can collect data at points, lines, or polygons. Everglade in the field provides some intuitive screens and an easy workflow. One of the nicest features of Everglade Mobile is that you have a vegetation list that automatically sorts as you type in either the common or the Latin name. So essentially, when you start Everglade Mobile in the field, you get a screen that comes up that gives you essentially four options. You can open an existing project or open the new project that you've just sent over to your handheld. You can go into the GPS setup and make sure that's working, and there's a lot of different screens in there to test it in a variety of different ways, such as seeing a sky plot, seeing signal strength, looking at the NEMA messages coming across, and even more. And then the About icon just simply tells you your registration and license information and what version of Everglade you're running. And then, of course, you can exit from the screen. So if you clicked on the Open Project icon, you would see a list of all of the Everglade projects that you have on your GPS. And you can select the one that you want to work with that day. Everglade also provides some simple spatial information so you can see the points, lines, and polygons in relation to each other. Now, in order to keep Everglade simple, we don't allow you to see aerial imagery such as satellite or aerial photos. We didn't want people to have to deal with projections and datums, so we kept this very simple. This is a look at just the intuitive screens that come up. You can see there's tabs across the bottom that walk you through your data collection, working in a simple left to right manner by completing the information on the screens and then tapping on the tabs at the bottom of the screen. This is a look at the vegetation tab, where you can select your stratum in the upper box and then type in the species name, either the scientific name or the common name. The common name is kind of hidden by the list of species that are coming up. And this list automatically sorts itself depending on what characters you've typed in. So if you've simply entered an A, it brings up all of the plants that start with an A. If you entered the second letter as a B, it would sort just to the ones that have an AB in the scientific name. And again, the common name sorts itself the same way. This is just a screenshot showing an example for the soils list and how you just simply fill in the screens or use the drop-down arrows to bring up an available list of selections. This is a screenshot of EV Desktop showing that once the data has been sent to your computer after a completed project, you can click on the points, lines, or polygons, edit this information. For example, if you weren't able to recognize a plant species in the field, you can bring that plant back to the office, key that, and then type in the appropriate name within the fields that are shown. And then it's from here that you also export your wetland determination forms. So once everything is completed, you just simply click on File, Export, and you get the automatically completed Corps of Engineers determination forms with all of the calculations done for you. So on this example form, you can see that if you typed species into either the stratum, the tree stratum, sapling shrub stratum, herb stratum, or others that are at the bottom of the screen, and then typed in the absolute % cover, shows whether it was a dominant species, and typed in the indicator status, you would see that the dominance test and the prevalence index worksheet would be automatically updated for you as that information is put in there. Now, if you're also working with a geographic information system software such as ArcMap, you can export. We do save the shape files for you, so you can export those shape files over into your GIS to do any mapping that you need to do for your project. Here's just some quick examples of what those completed forms look like. We'll look at these in more detail later on as we run the software live. Okay, so at this point, let's minimize our screen here, then we'll switch over to Everglade Desktop, and we'll create a wetland delineation project for you. There's an example of the handheld that we're going to run today. We won't use it right now, but we'll go into Everglade Desktop and create a project. Okay, so we'll just click on the new project icon, and we'll call this project name Test Webinar 11-11-13. Project path, we'll just choose to place this in my Everglade Projects folder. Choose the region that we're working in today. Project site, we'll say Big Valley, and we'll choose a state. And a list of counties automatically sorts themselves to the state that I've selected. And if we have this information, we'll fill it in later. But for our purposes today, we'll say OK to that. That'll create the project, and now that you'll see that the sync icon up here has now made itself visible. And we'll go ahead and click on Send to Handheld. Now, in order to access this, you of course will have to have your handheld connected via USB to your computer. And then depending on the computer operating system that you're running, either Windows XP, I assume, Vista, or Windows 7, Windows XP uses Microsoft's ActiveSync program, so that's something that you will need to have installed and configured before running this. Or if you're dealing with Windows Vista or Windows 7, they have the Mobile Device Center that you will need to have configured and connected. But these are all very simple steps. So we'll click on To Handheld, so that sends this project over to the handheld. So we'll tap on Send to Handheld. Answer yes to that. I get a status bar coming up and showing me the progress that's happening with that. So the files were synced successfully. We'll say done. Now, if you were running this for real, you would probably just exit out of Everglade at this point. For our purposes, I'm just going to minimize this screen. I'm running a program called Pocket Controller Pro, which emulates my handheld or GPS screen. We're running the Juniper Systems Mesa ruggedized field computer today. This is probably my favorite device to use to run Everglade software, although it will run on any GPS that runs Microsoft Windows mobile operating systems. There's a number of different brands and models. I like this just simply because of the large screen real estate. I think it has the largest screen of any Microsoft Windows mobile device on the market, so it makes it very easy to use in the field. This particular unit is running Microsoft Windows Embedded software. So we'll scroll down through the icons until we see our Everglade mobile icon there at the bottom. Tap it. That'll open the software on my GPS. We'll go ahead and just quickly configure the GPS. Work over here by the window to make sure that's set up. So I'll tap on Test Settings. Tells me that's working. And we'll go wait for a sky plot, or I could tap on Signal or Position. And as soon as we see some satellites appearing on there, it lets me know that that's working. If I would have turned this on a little in advance of this webinar, it would have already been tracking some satellites, and we could have just jumped right into our project. But in this case, this unit's been off, so we want to make sure it grabs some of those. So as soon as they appear on there and we get some valid fixes, we'll start running the software. Apologize for that. I should have clicked on Activate first. Simply testing it wasn't enough. So you're seeing that we'll be getting some real-time corrections today showing up on there. Now, the Everglade software just reads the NMEA message strings that are being sent by your GPS. So a common accuracy is, well, what kind of GPS accuracy will I get? And the answer to that is, well, that depends on your particular GPS unit. If you're getting sub-meter accuracy with your GPS, then all of your Everglade points that you log, the lines that you're mapping, or the polygons will all have that same type of accuracy. If you have a 2 to 5 meter GPS, then your points will have 2 to 5 meters in accuracy. Now, because we're logging NMEA message strings, we're not collecting all of the raw GPS data that's necessary to post-process and differentially correct your data. So the GPS accuracy that you get is dependent upon the real-time accuracy of your GPS receiver. Okay, so let's find our project for today. I believe we called this Test Webinar, Webin 1113. So there it is. We'll tap that. Now with existing projects that you have on there, if you're going back and doing a redelineation a quarter, a year, or a few years later, and those are still on your unit, you just simply open those up and can go back to those original points and update those or collect new points. So it's showing me that I'm tracking 8 satellite vehicles, and it's showing me my current latitude and longitude. We want to establish, in this case, a new point, so we'll tap on New and then Point. Now to improve my GPS accuracy in the field, I can do point averaging and average any number of points that I want to put in this box, or I can just simply take one snapshot of my current location in time. Now if you don't have a GPS and you're running this on a rugged mobile field device without GPS, but you have a secondary GPS, you can actually just type in the latitude and longitude right off of that device. For our case, we'll log an average of 3 points, so I will tap Log. And as soon as it's brought in 3 points, it'll grab the average of those. If I like that, I'll say OK. And you'll see my first screen there, which is just simply the information that we added in Everglade Desktop. I can edit any of this or add new information, or go over to my secondary site info screen and fill in the appropriate information here, such as landform, provide the local relief, add any slope information that I want, choose or change the subregion, update the GPS if I want. So if I tap on that GPS icon, I can go back and log additional average. I can put in my soil map unit name, NWI class, and check for any significant disturbance here. Now we'll just simply move right to the next tab and tap on vegetation. If I want to add a tab here, I just choose the appropriate stratum and start typing in any scientific or common name. If I am very good at my Latin names, I would just tap in the field species. If I know everything by the common name, I tap in the field name and start typing. So we'll just use species and start typing in a name. Put in the percent cover. I can either enter that directly or use the sliding scroll bar and check whether or not that's a dominant species. Say OK, that'll appear in there. I can always go back and edit that if I change my mind about either the name of the plant or what the percent cover is, or I can delete that from there and I can just keep adding plants as we go along here. And we'll add one more. Say we have a shrub or sapling here just to make things a little bit more interesting. And for the purposes of this, that's all we'll add today. Scroll a little bit down. You can see I can enter the percent ground in the herbs, percent bare ground in the herb stratum. If there's any biotic crust present, I can enter that. Any hydrophytic vegetation present, and I can always type remarks. And these remarks will show up in the notes field of my determination forms. So now we'll get some soil profile data. So we'll tap on Add there. And for this, we'll say we're looking at a depth from 0 to 12 inches. Start keying in our matrix color, matrix percent, redox color. You can see I can just key these in just by the drop down, the percent, redox type. And again, I don't expect this to be accurate. I'm just making choices and showing you how to run the software. Then we'll look at soil indicators. You can see that I just have hydric soil indicators box under hydric soil problematic indicators, and I can check either of these that are applicable. Go into my hydro indicators, primary hydrology indicators, secondary hydrology indicators. You can see that they're all available. So all the choices that you have here are ones that for that particular region are found on their version 2 determination forms. And then my hydro observations, I can check any of those, describe the recorded data, and then look at a summary of my fields. The ones that are grayed out there would not be grayed out if I had made the appropriate checks while I was there. Now, if everything looks good, I can just simply say OK, and we're done with that particular point. If I wanted to go back and review and make edits, I just do my menu and go to sampling points, and I can edit that. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, I can name these points anything I want. If I just go with the default, they name themselves either new point 1, new line 1, etc. If I was adding additional points and just going with the default, it would be new point 2, etc. So we'll say we're fine with that, and I could just go on collecting more points, mapping more lines or polygons if I wanted to. In this case, we will close out the project and say we're heading back to the office. So back at the office, I form up my USB connection, start Everglade desktop on my PC, and I would have had this shut down, so I would go to my open project, open the project that I've been working on, go over to my sync button, and in this case, sync from Handheld. So we'll get the appropriate files. It says my project already exists because we created it on this computer. Now, one thing that's worthy of mention here is that the licensing for Everglade is on the Handheld. You can install Everglade Desktop to as many computers as you want, but the licensing is actually done on the specific GPS. Okay, now for my sampling points over here in the upper left-hand corner, these would correspond to how many points I took out in the field. So I would just click on the one that I wanted to review or edit. Again, I can change any of this information right here. Go look at my summary of findings, vegetation screen, and again, you can type in new information here. So if you brought back some information with you or you want to edit anything, you can do that. You can see that my dominance test and my prevalence index worksheet are already completed for me based on the plant species that I entered in there. And the same thing for the soil information too. I can go add additional information or edit what is there. The same applies to the hydrology. Now this is a pretty boring map. If I had mapped any lines or polygons like ponds or different areas, I could see those show up and even dictate what the symbology is for that. Now once I'm satisfied with everything, I just simply go File, Export, and this will give me my completed determination form. So we'll just say Test Webinar. Save. And we'll see what that's about here. Let me export that again. We'll just say Acme pull point 1. There we go. Turns out I was using an invalid name last time. And there's my completed determination forms. Now, we did not lock these forms, so you can save these as a Microsoft Word document or as a PDF. But again, the important point is if you want to customize these forms and add any additional information or type comments or remarks in here, you can do this. And then just save those forms again. So we do talk to people occasionally that add some additional things to their forms. Other people are more sticklers for keeping everything exactly the way the Corps of Engineers prints these things. So we do give you the option. So there they are. You can print those out, save those as Word or PDF documents, and you're on your way. So I hope you've enjoyed today's webinar on our Everglade software. I do have a few more PowerPoint slides that I do want to run. If you want to test Everglade yourself, you can download a free version by going to www.everglademobile.com, and you can download a brochure. You can download Everglade software. Everglade will run identically to what you've seen today with one difference, and that is that when you've collected your data, brought the project back to Everglade Desktop, the software will not allow you to export a completed determination form. So that's where we draw the line between the demo and the real version. What it will say is, hey, you don't have a licensed copy, but here's an example of what the completed form would have looked like, just kind of using a default form had you purchased the software. Now, just as a company overview, just wanted to let you know a little bit more about Electronic Data Solutions that's bringing you this webinar today. We've been in business for over 26 years. We're located in south central Idaho in the town of Jerome, which is where our headquarters is. In addition to that, we have 6 field offices scattered throughout mainly the western United States, and we currently have 25 employees. In addition to the Everglade software, we provide rugged field computers from Juniper Systems for a variety of applications, including forestry, mosquito control, vegetation, wetland delineation, and water resources. And we have a water resources business unit that brings you instrumentation and software for water level and water quality monitoring, automatic sampling and flow metering, acoustic Doppler current profilers, hydrological tools from Hydrological Services of America, meters for measuring flow and closed pressurized pipes from EMCO, and then we do a lot of system integration and telemetry work as a VAR for Campbell Scientific. We also have a GPS GIS business unit bringing you products from Trimble Navigation, from their utility field solutions, forestry, and environmental solutions. We are an Esri business partner and developer. We carry laser rangefinders from Laser Technology, GPS-ready digital cameras from Ricoh, and mobile demand rugged tablet PCs. And how they differ from what we're using today is that these mobile demand tablet PCs actually run Windows 7 or Windows 8, just like you would be running on your computer. And then, of course, the Juniper Systems field computers and GPS GIS bundles, one of which we ran today. Also want to let you know that we do have a GPS GIS technical service from our main office and a repair center there with 5 full-time resources staffing that office. I'd like to thank you again for joining us for today's recorded webinar. If you need to contact us, you can contact us at 208-324-8006. That will ring to our main office in Idaho, as well as by going to www.electdata.com. Thank you very much, and appreciate you being with us today.